if you are in an open relationship, I know it happens out there. I'd highly say PrEP is highly recommended, like that way it's gonna protect you from acquiring HIV.
Sometimes in our enthusiasm to encourage people towards safer sex, we invalidate the reasons why they don't like condoms. So if someone says it doesn't feel as good, well, I don't need to say, no, you're wrong, it feels as good, because that's not that person's experience. If someone says, I don't feel as connected to my partner if I have a condom on, again, I don't need to invalidate that. That's their experience.
Do you know your status, and not just for HIV, but other STIs? Do you know the status of the person or people that you're going to be engaging with? How are you protecting yourself in those spaces?
One myth is that you have to be receiving in order to contract HIV, and I think a lot of men still think that as long as whether it's hetero or gay sex, as long as I'm the one topping, then I'm safe. I'm not going to get it. But the reality is that there are other ways that within that kind of sex that you can actually contract HIV.
This is everyone's world, but this is a man's world. Do you ever wonder what conversations are had in the barbershop? Especially when the cape goes on and the clippers come out, the hot takes. I am giving you the inside scoop. On this episode of After Dark Chat, let's get real with our men. But when it comes to protection and prevention, a lot of black men still do not like talking about HIV. They don't even know about PrEP, and all of these important elements of being not even just black, but just being human overall. So Derrick, I want to ask you this question. How do you personally ensure that you are, that both you and your partners are safe sexually?
Yeah, that's a very great question. I think it's even tricky. One, safety begins with also trust, I could trust my partner, or you could trust your partner to to only have you, but I mean, like, it's just trust, not assured, so you could have an open conversation about this. And I would say if you are in an open relationship, I know it happens out there. I'd highly say PrEP is highly recommended, like that way it's gonna protect you from acquiring HIV. And I understand people don't know about these things, PrEP. You can say, what is PrEP? Like, what does it do? Where do I get it? Like, like, what is that? So I mean, like, it is also advisable, I think, if you have your partner to regularly or once in a while attend a medical appointment together, and have this conversation with a healthcare worker. That way they're gonna talk to you about, let's say, PrEP, and also if, as I said, if.
But wait, question. Why do we have to go together? Isn't it if she's good, then I'm good too?
I mean, like,
that's a good question.
I thought that's how it goes.
I mean, like,
one person gets tested, then then I'm good, right?
Like, it's not necessarily going to the healthcare work saying, we are going for this. Probably it's a simple checkup. It's good actually to go out there together. And also that way you're gonna have a chance to talk about conversations probably that are not easily talked about for two of you. I could say, you know what, I'm feeling like this, and then usually especially about sexual infections or diseases, usually they can't treat one partner. Do you know that? Like, if you have, let's say, STIs or whatever they call it, they're gonna tell you, if you have a partner, the partner has to get the treatment too.
So what I get from Sorie is the truth is, if my partner is okay, then I should be okay too. But the reality is, your health is your responsibility. And you can trust your partner all you want. The reality is, people are still in monogamous relationships and are still contracting HIV/AIDS, right? So again, your health, your responsibility, you know?
Yeah, and in terms of, you know, certain STIs, I know that it's possible for one partner to be positive for gonorrhea, let's say, and be a carrier where they actually don't have any symptoms. And so if you're gauging that as a reason why you don't have the gonorrhea, then you could be one who gets it and it affects very, very intensely. With HIV, it could be that it's in someone's bloodstream for a while before it's detectable, and meanwhile you're putting yourself at risk. So it's not necessarily if my partner's okay or has tested negative, then I'm okay. Yeah. That's not always the way.
I agree. We spoke about PrEP earlier, Derrick. PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. A lot of black men still do not know what PrEP really is, how it works, and the efficacy of the same as well. So can you speak a little bit to that piece? Like, I just named it, pre-exposure prophylaxis, but talk a little bit more about PrEP, how it works, and how it can help also to prevent folks from contracting HIV.
Exactly. So I'd say it may not really sound so fair, but I say if you're in a relationship and also you're not so sure of your partner and then you are having unprotected sex, I would advise PrEP. PrEP is gonna support you. It's gonna help you to avoid, at least to minimize the risk of contracting HIV. You know, it's gonna at least it's a safety measure that it doesn't hurt, like you don't have to, it's not gonna cause you any side effects. And as I earlier said, also for folks that are in multiple relationships, PrEP is the point, because more especially if a condom is not your friend, like it's PrEP. I mean, that's very true. There are folks who don't like them. So PrEP is gonna help you. Once you take PrEP, it's just a pill, you can have it, I think, once a day. Actually once a day, and then it's gonna, that way you're protecting yourself from getting HIV versus just going all around. Like, so it minimizes the risk of contracting HIV. And like, even with folks who are like living with HIV, it's also something that is advisable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I think in simple terms I can say that.
Wait, just to clarify, so you're saying that condoms are not enough? You have to take take this pill?
Yes, I mean, like, if you're having non-protected sex, it's actually highly advisable, and also, like, sometimes you may not be so sure of a condom. Probably if you do alcohol or stimulants, you can easily forget it. Like I thought I'm safe.
Nah, this is the first time I'm hearing about. Where do you get this pill? This PrEP pill. It's not like you get like Morpheus. You just take the.
I love that you're asking all the important questions, but condoms are still effective, right? It's just that condoms break. There are so many things that can be factored in when we talk about the use of condoms. And so what we're seeing is that PrEP is an added layer of protection, right? PrEP can be accessed at the PrEP clinics in Ontario. There are quite a few of them, or maybe you can even reach out to the ASOs. Black Cap, for example, we have Care Community Connections where he's directly affiliated. I'm not sure, Stévia, if your organization.
If you come through Ubuntu, we will probably redirect you to a service organization too.
So there's a way to access it, but you just have to reach out to one of these organizations.
So see, this is a little frustrating because when did this start? Like, how long has this existed? Because this sounds like like once it gets worse, then let's take PrEP. This doesn't sound like a pre-measure. This sounds like an after.
No,
because I've never heard of this thing before, and I have to reach out to them. They're not just accessible. Like,
they're all over the place.
They're all over.
You can talk to your doctor,
and it's a preventative thing, right?
So to address two pieces. One, pre-exposure obviously means it's before you are exposed. So you are encouraged to start PrEP once you are considered eligible. You have to be not living with HIV before you can be considered eligible. And so a test has to be done or conducted before you can be deemed eligible. And so you take this pill, 1 pill a day, for the rest of your life, fortunately, because it is really preventing you from contracting HIV, right? But you take a pill a day and it does what it is supposed to do. And it really is effective as well, but it can be accessed virtually at any, I would love to believe, any clinics. All of the health providers, I believe, should be able to direct you if they don't have it themselves, but they should be able to direct you. But you also have post-exposure prophylaxis. I heard Stévia say it earlier, PEP. This is one that you take 28 days. It has to be taken within the window period of 72 hours. So once you feel like you would have been exposed to HIV, you take it, and for 28 days you take this pill, and it prevents you from contracting HIV as well.
Once it's taken within 72 hours.
Yeah.
So like if...
So this is what kept Magic Johnson alive.
Well, Magic, it's a little different because I think he would have contracted it, and so he is aware, but he's now taking his ARTs, antiretroviral treatments. These are pills that he takes, once a day as well, and these pills are practically keeping him alive as well. They're a little bit different from PrEP and PEP, but of course the components that make up the medications that I'm assuming he takes are also the components that they have in these other drugs that prevent you from contracting HIV.
Yeah, you learn something every day.
I just wanted to go back, to talking about, you mentioned that there are some people who just don't gel with condoms, who don't like condoms. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in our enthusiasm to encourage people towards safer sex, we invalidate the reasons why they don't like condoms. So if someone says it doesn't feel as good, well, I don't need to say, no, you're wrong, it feels as good, because that's not that person's experience. If someone says, I don't feel as connected to my partner if I have a condom on, again, I don't need to invalidate that. That's their experience. Yeah. What I need to highlight is, how much do you care about your health, and how much do you care about your partner's health, rather than negating their experience.
I agree. Thank you so very much for that. All right, Stévia, when we think about, and I think it was Derrick who mentioned risk, the risk factor surrounding the use of PrEP. But when we talk about risks, what are considered as risky sexual behaviors, rather?
Like, I feel like anything could really be a risk as long as you don't know what you're going into. Like, do you know your status, and not just for HIV, but other STIs? Do you know the status of the person or people that you're going to be engaging with? How are you protecting yourself in those spaces? And I also did want to flag that, yes, PrEP will protect you from HIV, but where condoms can be used is also still recommended, because PrEP only protects you from HIV, not any of the other STIs. So it's also still recommended that you use condoms. But I think a lot of times when we think around sexual safety, we often think about the physical. We think about HIV, we think about STIs, but we don't think about emotional safety. I think somebody mentioned earlier about you could feel confident that you're in a monogamous relationship, but the other person might not be, right? And I think when things like that happen, it can, yes, be a lack of emotional maturity on parts of partners, but I think a lot of times it's because a lot of us lack the emotional intelligence to create safety for partners, whether or not that is in an open relationship or a monogamous relationship. We don't really have the tools, and again, it comes back to how we grew up, right? Nobody really handed us the tools to navigate those emotional pieces, right? So I think having spaces where we can actually like learn what intimacy truly is. Learn what safety looks like. Learn how to recognize boundaries for ourselves and our potential partners. All those pieces that help to create a safe space for you as a person. Like I know for most trans folks, another piece of safety is feeling safe enough to let you know, well, hey, I'm trans, right?
Yeah.
Like I might be a trans guy that likes guys, right? I come talking to you, you might think, oh, okay, I don't know if you into guys. You might be like, oh yeah, I like him. And then when it's time to talk about the bedroom, you expecting one thing that's not gonna be there. But can I trust you to tell you that from the start, right? Because I felt safe enough to tell Tony when we were in a relationship, doesn't mean that I feel safe enough to tell you, right? So yeah, and like there's all these expectations. Like I know a lot of times, a lot of folks think that because you're trans, you like women, and a lot of us do, but there are, you know, trans men who like men. Yeah. And like what does safety look like in relationships like that? Yeah. You know, in terms of trans folks, there's often been a conversation around how PrEP will interact with our hormones. You know. So like there's a whole lot of other pieces that go into it. It's not just, do I have a condom? Is the condom, you know, still within the expiration? Am I on PrEP? Is this person on PrEP? You know, are we gonna be using anything when we have sex? Like, what is it gonna look like? Knowing those things from the outset, talking about them openly, being able to share how you feel. Those are some of the things that create safety. Yeah. And when there's that safety, I feel like risk tends to minimize a bit because people feel safer to be honest.
Yeah. So there are multiple facets of risk, and you have spoken about a few of them. But I want to touch on HIV. Now, there are a few myths about HIV. Tony, what's one myth you've heard about HIV or even protection that is still a myth today?
One myth is that you have to be receiving in order to contract HIV, and I think a lot of men still think that as long as that, whether it's hetero or gay sex, as long as I'm the one topping, then I'm safe. I'm not going to get it. But the reality is that there are other ways that within that kind of sex that you can actually contract HIV. It's not as high a risk as the one who's receiving, but it's still a risk.
Yeah, and a lot of heterosexual men as well do not think that they can contract HIV from women as well. And so how do we really even break down those barriers? Because we talked about protection earlier, we talked about PrEP, we talked about the use of condoms, but how do we break down that one barrier, that one understanding that straight men cannot contract HIV?
I don't know that I have the answer, but I think it goes back somewhat way to earlier discussion around being able to just throw these conversations out in places like this, where people have at least one person feels safe enough to begin the conversation, and then hopefully that allows others to jump in and disagree or agree or whatever, but the conversation has to begin somehow. And I think community spaces like this, like, you know, wherever people hang out, are maybe the best places to begin. And then wider education, you know, and the provinces does some, you know, good work in terms of education and posters and ads and stuff, but maybe some more specifically targeted information protocols around that.
Yeah. Thank you so very much for that, Tony. You spoke about education and the importance of the same. Sorry, I'm asking you this question because you just said that you were hearing about HIV, not HIV, but PrEP rather, for the very first time. Do you think that if more men, especially straight men too, heard about PrEP and the efficacy of the same, do you think they would want to use it?
Yeah. Because people already use condoms, and other measures, birth control. So I think PrEP is on that same level. You know, once more people are aware of it, And I think people do really care about their health. And again, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So once more people are made aware of it, I'll definitely be, after this conversation, sharing a lot with my clients if they ever heard or knew about this. But yeah,